to the Cooler Women's Wellness Tribe, the podcast. Get comfortable, get your walking shoes on, and let's get it going. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Women's Wellth, and I have an amazing guest with me today. I'm really excited about this guest. I just can't wait. And I have Natty with me. She is a psychic development expert, a healer, and a business coach. And I can already tell that I'm very excited. And yeah, so welcome to the podcast. I'm happy to pass it over.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
You're welcome. So I'm just going to tell a little story about how I found you, because we've never actually met in person. A few months ago, I had a reading, and the lady told me that I had an entity. So I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this information? And she didn't really give me any. So I just went onto YouTube, as you do, and I typed in entity release meditation and found your YouTube. And then I did, you had one on there, you have one, and I did it for a few days. And you know, and you'll know, it's all energy or vibration. I was like, oh my God, I feel like this girl's my best mate. Never met you, and I was like, I need to find her, stalk your socials. And yeah, I'm always on your YouTube. And, because you've got that energy. And I was like, I need to get her on the podcast. And then it was just something like, ask her. And I was even a little bit nervous. I was like, no, she's not going to want to, like, a little bit of a fangirl, I think. No way. She's not going to want to come on. But yes, you're here. So
Right, that's hilarious. So
that's how I found you.
A lot of my clients come the same way. Like, they find me on a video or a recording, and they're like, I feel like we should be friends. Like, I don't know why. I'm like, yeah, we probably knew each other in a past life, have, similar energy. And if something was prodding you, that was probably my higher self. So apologies for that. She can be a bit intrusive. She has been known to pop up in people's dreams. I've had, not so much recently, but in the first couple of years of doing this work, random strangers on social media messaging me saying, this is really weird and I hope it doesn't freak you out, but I had a dream about you last night, and either I told them to get a healing or told them about something important or was doing healing on them, and they were like, I think it means I need to book a healing. I'm like, okay, sure. And then they have some crazy wild experience that triggers their spiritual awakening and puts them on their path, and I'm like, well, I guess my higher self knows what she's doing.
Yeah, that marketing though, that free marketing, just get into people's dreams. I messaged you, you were in my dream last week, but it was just after you booked on to the podcast. And in my dream, we were doing the podcast, but I could see your guides, and I was like, oh, I can see. And and you were like, yeah, you can see them when they're on Zoom. And I woke up, I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, it happens a lot. Okay. By the way, I don't send my higher self out anywhere. Yeah. That is a big no-no. I am very, very, I teach all my clients to stay away from people's energy field without permission. So just an FYI for anyone that thinks I'm sending things out to bring in clients. No, that's not how it works.
So I'm glad you said that, actually, because we might... So tell me a little bit about yourself. So how did you get to being a psychic development expert, healer? Where did all this come from? Because this is something that we generally don't pick when we, see the careers advisor at GCSE. And
yeah, well, so over the last 12 years, I've always run my own businesses. I've never had a full-time job, nor would I ever want one. I'm pretty neurodivergent. I was a bouncer for 2 years. That was really fun. That's the only job I've ever had. Yep, nightclub bouncer, little old me. But I was running a really successful fitness business, and the pandemic hit. And about 2 weeks before the pandemic hitting, I had a week-long trauma. I actually reshared on my Instagram the original video, my coming out video of my abilities that I shared in November 2020. And I watched it back myself yesterday, and it made me emotional, because in 2020, it was like 8 months after my awakening when I posted this video, just telling people about how my abilities opened up and that I have abilities. And I was terrified. I was crying. I was shaking. I was holding onto a bracelet. I was so scared of people thinking that I was crazy, judging me, like all of that. Fast forward to now, And I'm on my Instagram story yesterday talking about dragons and fairies and piskies and other realms. And it's like, it's really good to see people kind of where that confidence jump came from. But my actual awakening happened in February 2020, very specific. It was basically a week long of trauma. I can talk about this with no emotion now because I've gone through it quite a lot of times. Apologies, trigger warning, anyone who has emotional things going on. But I basically had the guy that I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with break up with me on the Friday. On the Tuesday, I had what I perceived to be a miscarriage. And then on the Wednesday, I had a wisdom tooth extraction that went wrong. And I woke up and had the nurse pinning me down, and it was terrifying. On the Thursday, I drank a bottle of whiskey because I realized that my boyfriend was never coming back and he ghosted me. And then woke up on the Friday morning with a wisdom tooth infection. Had to go back to the dentist. They poked me in the socket. Sorry, people who don't like teeth. And I had really extreme flashbacks of the extraction. I was already having panic attacks in the waiting room. My Reiki kept turning on in my hands. And I'd developed this weird twitch that felt like someone pulling me to the side, which in hindsight, I now know was my guide literally trying to shake me awake and get my attention. But at the time, with my limited knowledge and understanding of such things, I thought that I needed to get sectioned. I thought, like, I've gone catatonic, I'm broken, there's something really wrong with me. Thankfully, the universe in its infinite wisdom had maneuvered all these people into my life. And so that was the Friday I had the breakdown, I was just broken. Saturday, went and saw one of my best friends who told me to get my shit together, basically, and take control of my life. Sunday, I had a 2-hour mentoring and NLP session with one of my mentors. Monday, I had a body talk healing session. Tuesday, I had a shamanic healing session where I met my first spirit guide. And then Wednesday, I had my first ever psychic reading with someone who's now my best friend. And we do swaps, and she's been my mentor for years. And she told me that I was going to be psychic, that I was a healer, that I had all these spirit guides, that I was going to invent my own healing modalities and open a school and all of this stuff. It's like the first time I've ever spoke to her. And my body was buzzing while she was talking to me. She said she could see fireworks in my aura. She was really excited as well by the reading. And everything that she said in that half an hour conversation came true. Every reading I've ever had with her, everything's just come out pretty much. And then from there, everything just started to open up. I started communicating with spirits. I was already doing Reiki healing. I started doing sessions with clients and having psychic messages come through. I would have like a random crystal or a plant or an animal come through. That's kind of how it started, like small things. And I would get them to Google or look them up, and they'd go, oh my God, that's really weird because of X, Y, and Z, or I've been having this. I started doing psychic surgery on people. Literally, I remember one of my first sessions with a friend who just had a physical operation, and she couldn't go to the toilet. She couldn't poo. And I sat and said, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm I lifted out her bowel, like psychically in my mind's eye, and massaged it. And she was like, what the hell, dude? I can feel something moving, like her insides were moving around, and then she was able to poo afterwards. There was loads of different little things. And just in those first weeks, it was spirit really giving me a nudge of look what you can, not so much look what you can do, look what you can help others facilitate. Like, I'm not doing anything to people. I am helping their bodies heal themselves. It's really important. Like with healers, people aren't coming to me to fix them or heal them. I am helping them facilitate it. And then it went, communicating spirits, doing past life healing, going through dimensions, astral travel, then channeling ETs, and light beings, light language, singing frequencies that trigger something in people's brains that make them astral travel and move in between dimensions. A lot of people have said that my sessions are similar to doing ayahuasca without taking any drugs, just from the frequencies that I'm able to channel. And then, it's carried on from there, really. My background in business, I was already doing some business coaching and mentoring, and just have started so many businesses and projects over 12 years because of my ADHD and because I hadn't found my soul's purpose. I was so disconnected that nothing ever, even though I had some really successful things that were really fun, nothing ever quite got me until I found this, and just went with it. So my business just developed, and I pretty soon realized that people were coming to me straight after an ability opened up in me, someone else would come that would have the same thing, and I would have to teach it to them. So within the first year, I started psychic development because that was what I was supposed to be doing. Also realized that I was activating people's psychic abilities from sessions, and even progressed to up about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I started activating people just having conversations. So someone would have a discovery call with me for a course or something, and message me the next day and say, I don't know what you did, but I woke up talking light language. And I'm like, I didn't do nothing. You were just in my energy field.
So before that week of, God, all of those events, when you look back now, did you have any kind of clues? Was there anything that was happening, you know, think that, oh my God, that's why that used to happen? Or was it completely just nothing? And then you had your week of trauma and it was all like the awakening. Was there any, any hints along the way of your life? Or
in hindsight, yeah. I mean, in hindsight, I realized that I've always had sensitivities to things. When I was a kid, I think I was highly psychic. My sister, after I had my awakening and started doing past life stuff, she said, do you remember when you used to talk about your past lives when you were really little? She said that I used to tell stories, and she'd ask, when did this happen? And I'd say, before I was in mum's tummy, which I couldn't remember at all. I remember having what I thought was nightmares when I was a kid of things trying to get me, and they weren't nightmares. I had like a couple that I can remember of like someone trying to snatch me from my bed. That was some negative ETs. I had a dream that there was a witch under my bed and she stuck a needle in my arm. So it was something literally putting an attachment in me. So obviously now I'm able to look back on these things. At the time, it was just a really scary nightmare. As a kid, I was terrified of going to sleep. I started taking drugs from a pretty young age. I was smoking weed from age 9, taking class A's from age 15, had an amazing 10 years of going to raves. I do not regret a second. I wasn't very kind to my body. I eventually stopped because I was in and out of hospital for a few years with like sort of kidney problems and stuff. Completely healthy now and fine. But again, in hindsight, realized that I was blocking off, especially with smoking weed all through sort of my older child and teenage years. I was blocking off my sensitivities to everything. And again, I don't regret that. I don't recommend it to anyone. It's much better to nurture children's gifts, obviously, if you can, but I had absolutely no awareness. I wasn't around anyone who had any awareness, and I just wanted to party.
Well, I think I've been there as well in my early 20s. Just like you said, but I think I was aware of things, but just following the crowd and thinking, oh, when I do this, but I found that I used to be able to go off in my own little world, but I was like, wow, this is where I belong. And the only times I could get there was when, the after parties and, and doing whatever at the after parties. But that was my gateway in. And then I would really try and tune in when I wasn't at the party, but would struggle. So I was like, right, I need to get back to that. But yeah, like I said, I would never recommend that. And I had a good time. But now I'm an adult. It's very different.
I used to call it video clips on my eyelids. So I used to get like what I thought was me tripping or getting visions that no one else would get when I'd lay down in bed. And then, later on realized that it was loads of just psychic mumbo jumbo going through, basically my crown chakra being wide open and saying, welcome to all of the crap in the universe.
That's an amazing way, because I get that now. And I try and explain it to people. I'm like, this is what I see, and then I'm like, video clips behind on your eyelids. That's
your crown chakra's too overactive, or you have blocks in your lower chakras, like your root chakra, your legs, your feet, preventing your energy. So if you think about your spiritual grounding system as like a sewage system of a toilet, think about what happens when a toilet backs up, right? It gets full of shit. Excuse my language. I didn't actually ask if I was allowed to swear on this podcast.
You're okay, yeah.
So basically what happens when we've got blocks in our lower chakras, the energy, like energetic crap, builds up and up and up. It could cause stomach problems, anxiety, all of this busy brain, everything. And it can cause those sort of bombardment of images because they're coming from within, all of the stuff within you, or you can have a really overactive crown chakra, and it's sort of tapping into the collective consciousness without a filter. So again, all these, I get it around Lionsgate, sometimes around powerful full moons, and even with all of my knowledge and tools, I can't shut it off, and it's horrible sometimes. But I mean, that's, you know, the downside sometimes of being so psychically open. And I wouldn't trade the bad stuff for not having my magic powers.
Yeah, no, I would say the same. So when you said your guide, your first guide, do you have the same guide with you all of the time, or who's your team? Have you got like
They change a lot.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I mean, Thor is still there. I never really tap into him. Thor is my gatekeeper guide, and I don't choose to do mediumship. I did communicate with spirits at the beginning. I found it so emotional, people's passed over relatives coming through. And when I started communicating with light beings, ETs, dragons, all of that, I was like, oh, this feels way more comfortable to me. The vibration, everything. Spirits feel really dense and emotional. I still have spirits come through from like past lives and stuff, but as regards to literally communicating with, for example, someone's dad who's passed over, or any of my friends that have passed over, which there's been a lot in my lifetime, it's kind of a no for me. So I don't have necessarily much warrant to communicate with my gatekeeper guide very much. I just know he's there. Currently, I have guides swapping in and out all over the place. Like sometimes they will usually come in to work with me for a period of time and then disappear. I remember when I was channeling the Lemurians loads throughout from the beginning of 2022 when I first started trance channeling. So trance channeling is where you let something completely speak through you. So I started off direct channeling, which is where the messages come into my head and I speak them out straight away. So it's like I still have a little bit of processing time. And that's how I used to channel the Arcturians. And then the Lemurians started coming through. And I mean, if you watch any of my earlier videos, my chin is in the air and my neck's all tight. And I'm with this funny accent, and it's, I can't watch it back. It makes me feel a bit weird. But the energy that comes through and the information that comes through is amazing. And when towards the end of channeling all the Lemurians, I remember really specifically, I had this Lemurian guide come through. It was a beautiful female Lemurian, but normally my guides come through in my mind's eye and they're quite hazy. It's like I can see them, but it's more an awareness of what they are or whatever, and I can't focus in. This was the first time a guide had come through in like Technicolor, do you know what I mean? Photographic. She looked real in front of me. I could see the texture, her skin, everything. And she brought through in me the ability, this is when I was starting singing these frequencies, I could see the music that I was singing. So she would bring through all these colors and shapes, and it was like she would bring them through, and somehow my brain was recognizing them and reading them as music. And that was how my ability to sing these frequencies came through. Before, like now it's just integrated. So quite often abilities will come through a certain way first until they're integrated, and then they just become part of you. Similarly with the channeling, like the trance channeling now, unless it's a new group of beings, which happened last month, and we can talk about that. It just sounds like me talking. Yeah. I've got my eyes closed. I'm talking the words, they're talking through me, but it sounds like me and you talking right now. Thankfully, a lot of the funny faces and eye flickering and stuff has gone. Yeah.
And so I was listening to, I've lost the name. The Three Waves of the Balance, Dolores Cannon.
Yeah.
Have you yeah. So when
I listened to the very beginning of that book and didn't. Yeah. I'm not very much with other people's books.
Yeah, well, and I was just going to say, so when obviously she's talking through other people, but you're getting the messages directly, are they the same kind of messages, like warnings or telling us, you know, what I was listening to yesterday, they were talking about global warming and the planet, and they'd fast forward, I think, to 2350, and there was people having to live in suits because they couldn't breathe the air. Are you getting that? Like, what messages do you get?
So I'm just going to put a universal psychic disclaimer out there. I am not a fan of people bringing through specific information about the future and bringing it through in a way that it is gospel, even if it is channeled. The timelines on Earth are changing so fucking quickly at the moment. This is one of the reasons that I offer psychic readings maybe 2-3 times a year. I open up a few slots for a week anyone who jumps in, and then it's done. And the reason for that is because if I give you like a traditional psychic reading and I tell you, well, you're going to meet this guy or this is going to happen or whatever, if you leave the house and turn left instead of right, you've just changed, right? You've made a change. You've made a decision. Human choice affects everything. If you put on top of that the fast pace that you are going through ascension, and then the fast pace that the world is going through ascension, you going through ascension means that you're likely constantly jumping timelines. Each time you jump onto a new timeline, which is basically like a new life path, an old fragment of you goes from the old timeline and a new fragment comes in, basically making you a new person. So not only if you go and get a psychic reading in a month, are you being read, it's like you've got more of your soul or new parts of your soul that is being read. I hope I'm explaining this in a way that isn't too confusing. It's new parts of your soul being read, but you also might be on a completely different timeline. I'm going to give an example of this with my own journey. Occasionally I get very, very clear psychic messages of things that I'm going to do or things that are going to happen. I got one when I had the flu in where was I? Paris. I had really bad flu. I was in bed. I felt like I was dying. And my guides came through really clearly in my ear, get your laptop now. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And get your laptop. And they were going now. Like I see the word now. I went and picked it up, opened it up, had my eyes half closed, put my fingers on the keys, and they channeled through this whole typed thing. And I opened my eyes and read it. And it said, upgrade from within 2.0. This is my course that I channeled. This will be the most powerful course you've ever channeled. And then there was a list of subjects, and they said this will be this is coming soon. And then I was like trying to ask questions, and they were like rest, and I was like but rest. They weren't giving me nothing else. I then had my first dragon incarnate through me, which again is a whole other thing. Dragon had come through me that said to me, this is my dragon that I work with all the time, Kietuk, said to me that he was coming through with more abundance than I'd ever seen, basically bringing me loads of gold and bringing me wings. So the ability to fly with dragons and the ability to travel. This was in the beginning of December. By the end of December, I had an outline of a course. I'd already signed up over 10 people. In January, I did my first £10,000 launch of this course with an outline on a piece of paper. I had no clue what was going to come out, but my guides assured me that I was going to channel it. It was going to be amazing. I was so nervous when I started this course. They kept assuring me it's going to be the biggest thing, blah, blah, blah. I was so nervous when I started this course that it wasn't going to work. And these people had paid me all of this money. And I was like, oh, imposter syndrome. By week 2, everyone was purging so bad. A lot of people were ill. People had headaches. One person was channeling ETs in the shower. Someone else was doing spirit rescues. And this was all like new stuff that opened up. That was week 2. And also my guide showed me that my higher self, so I couldn't access my higher self, I was anchoring all these people with strings for 8 weeks. So I spent basically 8 weeks in bed, apart from when I was channeling this course. And all of that, everything that my guide said came completely true. So this gave me such a huge sense of faith. And there's been loads of other things as well. I asked my higher self for my next big project after this. She showed me a TV screen. I was like, what, YouTube or TikTok, like videos? She was like, no, TV. I was reminded of a documentary that I wanted to do to normalize psychic abilities. Well, this rolled, you know, when synchronicities just roll. I realized I was supposed to make a TV show. I wrote that outline of it. 4 days later, a TV producer from LA followed me on Instagram. Turns out he was dating one of my clients. A couple of months later, end up having a conversation with him. He wants to shoot a pilot for the TV show. I realized that the vaccine things get lifted from LA in May, meaning I could fly out in June. Great, let's go. Full steam ahead. What then happened, him and my client broke up about a week or so before I was supposed to be flying out to Canada to meet her. And it was like a massive timeline change, right? I was so determined and clinging on to that one message of, they'd shown me this TV show. They'd shown me it was going on Netflix, like all of this. I was clinging on to that so much because it was like, it's a channeled message, rah, rah, rah. That I kind of ignored the fact that things seemed to start falling apart around me. And I went out anyway. And what preceded was one of the most challenging 8-week journeys of my life around Canada and America, mostly being ill. It was like Mercury retrograde on steroids. Everything went wrong: accommodation, travel, me getting ill. Then I got poisoned. It was like, you couldn't even write it. I was so far off course. There was other things as well, but it was like a huge lesson and reminder for me to not take things as gospel. And I use that example for other people as well. People come to me and say, oh, I got told by a psychic years ago. And I'm like, dude, disregard it. Just disregard it. There's a lot of like doomsday psychics out there, I feel like, at the moment. Clickbait, like, you have to listen to this now. We have to jump into 5D next month. Like, it's bollocks. It's all bollocks. 5D is already here. It's a vibration that you can choose to tap into. No one's going to be full 5D all the time, maybe even within our lifetime. Maybe, do you know what I mean, when we get to the end of this massive transformation, certainly the next few years, everyone's going to be jumping from 3D to 5D, just like the planet is. We're kind of going in between the two. So I would say with psychics, just be really careful, take everything with a pinch of salt. And this is why I am more passionate about teaching other people to get these insights and get this connection for themselves, and helping people do psychic healing rather than just reading. Psychic readings are great. Now, I still have psychic readings and they really, really help me. There is still a lot of things that you can get very specific advice for, and things do come true. So they're still amazing for that, but it's really important to check in with you and how you're feeling. If something doesn't feel true anymore, like with the America stuff, if I look back in hindsight, I wasn't feeling like a yes anymore. It was feeling like a just get on the plane. From me, not from my guides.
I know people that really do hang on, like they've been told once, oh, you're going to meet someone and the name's going to start with P, and then that's it. Then they're dating for, and it's a really simple example, but for the next 6 months they're not allowing anything else to come in because they're so focused on this person beginning with a P. But like,
I don't do any dating questions. People ask me about marriage dating. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to tell you because you're going to get so attracted to it. Also, on that note, I've been shown by my guides that I'm going to meet someone twice. Twice this happened to me, where I've met someone in meditations before I've met them. They've told me I'm going to meet them in a few weeks. Like literally, this is your divine counterpart, blah, blah, blah. I've been calling in a divine counterpart. But once happened in Spain and I met him, bless his heart. He was absolutely stunningly gorgeous. But he was in his mid-20s. He was a pizza delivery boy who lived with his granddad, had no spiritual awareness at all, didn't speak English. He smoked loads of weed every day. He was in no way suitable for me whatsoever. But his higher self wasn't even attached to him. But because I'd accidentally married myself to his high self, because I'd got so attached to this, which again was a big learning. And I know I go through a lot of this stuff, because in the future I'll be writing a book on divine union and sacred sexuality and all that stuff. And this is such a struggle that we go through as soulmates and everything. And it happened again earlier in the year. A guy came through in meditation just out of nowhere. It wasn't even asking. Bald guy with blue eyes came through, and I saw this whole past life with me and him and our baby, and we're Pleiadians and all this stuff. And they said 2-3 weeks, you're going to meet him. And I met this guy. It turned out it was a friend that I knew from years ago, and just had another traumatic 2-week relationship because he wasn't ready for any sort of dating, probably wasn't right for me anyway. And again, I already felt like almost, it's like meeting someone and it feels like you're already in love with them, because in another dimension you guys are together. So now I'm like, I said to my guides, I don't want to fucking know. If there's someone coming, don't tell me. I don't care. I don't want to meet them in the astral. I want to meet the human and be a human. Like sometimes when you're really psychic, it can be hard to remember to stay fucking human and just go through experiences rather than constantly trying to get answers and understanding. I'm guilty of this a lot, which is why, and I'm very upfront with this with all my clients. I'm not perfect. I'm just a human. I have some great skills and abilities. And also people looking to me for like answers to things on my 8-week course. Like I had to have a firm word with everyone on week 2. Just because there was so much messages coming to me of, is this normal? Does this? I was like, guys, I had mentors, but I had to go through my own experience. I couldn't just text someone every other day to say, is this vision real? Is this, you know what I mean? It's like, you have just kind of be in it. Spiritual awakening can be, well, it's intense. It's intense. Psychic awakening even more so. but it's so much worth it.
Yeah.
For what you get,
and
right?
So if someone, I know you've got a whole 8-week course, but like, what would your basics be if someone, like, I'm dipping into it now? What are your first, I can't get my words out, top tips just to sort of like, right, to get these thoughts, get these visions, to try and work out what it is? What's your go-tos?
Can you hear my dog?
A little, only a little.
So my personal method of psychic development. Now, I know everyone is different. This seems to make the most sense to me, the way that I do it. And I have a lot of clients come to me saying that they've done all of these other courses and methods and nothing works. And I'm like, well, what the hell are they doing with you? Because it's really not that difficult. Like, I've never had a session where I've not been able to just help someone kind of ping open, but it's because I help people find their own way and follow their own intuition. But literally pretty much for me, the 3 things that you need to do for psychic development is you need to clear the crap. So you need to clear your channel. This is any healing work that you do on yourself. I do a lot of psychic surgery. So literally removing and clearing astral baggage. All of these things are going to be blocking your channel. Past life ghosts, they're all going to be blocking your channel. Trauma from this life will be blocking your channel. Physical trauma, emotional trauma, all of that. So it's like this constant kind of healing and purging process. The most effective of what I have found to be is psychic surgery. So it's removing entities, attachments, ghost fragments, curses, vows, spells, all of these things. And you have to remove them in layers. So it's kind of a continual process. Each time you do that, it opens up more things. You can also do soul retrieval. So bringing back, when you've cleared space, you can bring back parts of you you've lost. These might be soul fragments from different dimensions, from other planets, galaxies, star systems that hold specific psychic abilities that then integrate into you. So that's like opening up things, activating people's abilities, which I do a lot. Through light codes. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to be speaking light language. Like right now, anyone who is listening to me is literally receiving light codes from me because I put that intent in. Everything that I do, I put the intent in that I'm sending out light codes, and light codes work as a lock and key mechanism. So if my key fits your lock, it sounds like a euphemism. If my key fits a lock in your soul, which apparently I have some sort of master key because I'm an activator, it's what I do. It kind of triggers a process, an internal process in you that starts activating soul memories that brings back gifts, skills, and abilities. Then you need to strengthen your channel. So you want to clear your channel, first of all, protect before strengthen. So the most important thing that I teach everyone is protection and boundaries. You need to have clear protection and boundaries in. Call in Archangel Michael for protection before you do anything. Call in your astral bodyguards, your guardian dragons, any other guardians, your gatekeeper guide if you're working with spirits. Ground yourself into Mother Earth. So send your root system in, breathing up love in and out from Mother Earth. Connect with the divine through your crown chakra and set in your spiritual boundaries. So something as simple as saying, I do not consent to any lower vibrational energies or entities coming anywhere near me, is really good. I've got a free 5-part coaching series on my YouTube, which is More with Natty. One of those modules is all on protection and boundaries. I massively recommend, even if you guys take nothing away from today, please go and watch that video. It will really help your own practice. And then the third thing is strengthen your channel. So you can do this by connecting with your higher self. Again, I've got so many strengthening meditations on my YouTube as well. Connect with your higher self and bring in yes or no answers, which you can do by moving energy around your body if you can't hear or see the answers. You can do guided journeys, shamanic journeying, astral travel, going and meeting spirit guides. Again, these are all sort of things that I've posted. There's so much free stuff on my YouTube. And these are things that I also do with my clients. So I will guide them through. When I am with a client or when they are in my energetic bubble. So I don't have to be physically with a client to be with them. Like you've met my higher self. She floats around. Whenever you do one of my recordings, if it's like a replay of a session or whatever, my guides are coming through to you, and they are boosting up your channel. So it's like I create a container, and it's almost like putting a battery in you. So it means that your psychic channel is boosted and strengthened, and then you can strengthen it yourself. So it's almost like opening up a new neural pathway. I'm just holding the door open for you while you're in my session. You're the one that's walking through it so many times that you create a groove, right? So you create a path so that then you can go off and connect on your own. But that is literally like clearing the channel, protecting and strengthening. That is psychic development in a nutshell. People overcomplicate the crap out of this. Some people think you have to meditate every day or follow this XYZ. I'm not a massive fan of giving people step-by-step guides. I will give people guidelines and I will give people things to follow and play around with, but I try and drum it into them to find their own way. This is not the be all and end all. There's a lot of older traditions. I mean, there's like shamanic healing is amazing. Reiki is amazing. All these modalities are amazing, but people that have done them for the last 15, 20 years are so rigid and not very changeable that they're kind of getting left behind with this new way of working, because we need to be working more in a multidimensional way. And if you're trained in XYZ and your client needs ABC, I don't care how good you are at XYZ or what master you trained with or how many years you've been in that realm or whatever, how sacred you are, with the utmost respect, you're not going to be able to serve your client because it's ABC. The only way you're going to get to ABC is by having a clear psychic connection, so that you can Johnny on the spot that shit. Do you know what I mean? So with all I train healers and psychics, and with all of them, I'm like, the most important thing you need to work on, even with business coaching, the most important thing I tell them to work on as well is psychic development, because it's like personal development on steroids.
And and that makes sense, because it's not something you can, it's within you. And reading, you can read all the books, and like you said, if you go to someone who's been doing it for years and years and years and years, and they're not in tune to it's a personal thing, isn't it? And the way that you do it is different than the way that they do it, and they do it and they do it. It's sort of, you need to find your own, I don't know, the word flavor came to my head. Yeah. But you need to find your own flavor, and that's the way that you do it.
And there's so many healing modalities out there as well. Like, even just in the last 3-4 years of working with my clients and helping them open up and stuff, sometimes I'll do a reading with someone and I'll get through an insight of an ability I'll use the example of a naturopath client I had a couple of years ago. My guides, she's a singer as well, and my guides told me that she can make flower essences using singing and channeling light codes into them. So instead of making them in the traditional way, literally getting bottles of the essence or the liquid or whatever, and singing and projecting, channeling the light codes of a flower. So pick a plant or a flower, meditate on it, call the energy in, channel the light codes. And that's like a brand new modality, right? Yeah. And these things come through all the time, either psychic messages or I've guided them through, and they're going, oh my God, apparently I'm going to do this. And it's like, we have so much technology, like fuck AI, mate. Your internal operating system, things that we are capable of, which I get all passionate about, as you can probably do when I talk about this stuff, because you just don't understand what you have inside you, but it needs to be unlocked. And getting to be the person that helps you unlock some of that is just like the most exciting thing in the world. Because I'm like, mate, human potential, let's go.
Yeah, I love that. I wonder if there's any special power for someone like me who's tone deaf. Like, what could I do with my?
Dude, you'll have so many abilities sitting laying dormant in your soul in past lives from guides waiting to be discovered. Like I'm still having new abilities opened up. Like my guides, every time, my guides kept showing me, even when I was channeling ETs and whatever, that it's just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm like, am I going to be able to shoot lasers from my eyes? Because, not being funny, guys, I can do a lot of, do you know what I mean? I've had so many abilities open up so quickly, but still it's like continually. My most recent one to come through is my guides have shown me that my next, one of the things that I'm going to be doing is programming astral portals. so that ETs and light beings can come through in certain places. So like, I want to go and do it in retreat centers and stuff.
Yeah.
But making a space that is literally people can go, like groups of people can go and make easy contact with ETs and light beings because of this safe programmed portal that they can actually come through. Again, it's not something I've done portal work, and I created a realm called the Purple Realm, like an actual astral realm, before I started my monthly thing. So I know that I can do it, and I can't wait to have a go. And it'll probably give me some headaches when I do it for the first time, but I mean, it's having just continual new things, and I'm not special in any way. I'm on a fast track. I've got all this stuff opened up. Every single person out there has so many abilities, so many things just laying underneath the surface. All of my guys that did the course back in February when it first launched, I mean, fast forward like 6 months or whatever, they're all doing amazing things. Some of them have discovered their own modalities. A couple of them have published books. A couple have met their soulmate. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like all of these things, and it's doing is just coming from accessing more of your soul and more of you, literally becoming more, to use a cringy spiritual phrase, becoming more authentically you.
Well, I was just thinking, it's actually stepping into the actual version of us that we're kind of stopped by how human the world is and how conditioned we are to sort of brush all of these things under the carpet. And you know, we live in such a robotic world that you pay your taxes, you do this, you do this, you do this. You must not think outside the box, because that's where the magic happens. And that's what, you know, the world, whoever's in charge, the humans that are in charge, don't want us to think outside the box. And this is why I love all of it.
It's not humans.
So
the leading on from that, the thing that I have discovered that I'm building at the moment, that I'm working on, I recently had the term a couple of months ago, psychic activist, come through to me, and it made me realize that is what I am, and that is what all of my clients are, and that is why I created the Purple Realm. So I created this monthly subscription. I did a free channeled session. My guides prompted me to do a free channeled session in Lionsgate, and I had 80 people sign up for it. 56 came on live. I channeled them in Tarkans, the Syrians. It was like, blew my fucking socks off. And I created this realm called the Purple Realm to hold everyone in. I then got the prompt to set up a Patreon, which is something I've wanted to do for bloody ages. But obviously I wasn't integrated enough or able to hold space for that many people on that larger scale to do sessions. So I set up this Patreon that I now do monthly healing and activation sessions in. And on one level, yes, it's a great way for people to access my things. It's like $15 a month. So for them to have access to a whole healing session, $15 is amazing for them. It's amazing for me because I can build it. But the reason behind creating it is because I know the power of getting together a group of people and combining energy. Like, psychic activism is literally like, if I use an example, if you imagine, there's a lot of people being activists for women's rights in other countries, women getting beaten, women getting raped, all the horrible stuff that goes on. Now, they are amazing, amazing humans, and I send them so much love on a daily basis. That is not my path. Like, I would fully get out there, do you know what I mean, if there was one locally, but my path is working energetically. So what I do is get into the energetics, and I help people clear the frequencies of violence and abuse and rape on an energetic level. We clear echoes through ancestral lines, through past lives, and on a collective basis. Now, if I'm doing this just on one-to-one, we can sometimes clear hundreds or thousands of lifetimes in one session, depending on how open and powerful the person is in front of me. So like how I guess integrated they are with their abilities, and we can hold more space together. When we do a group, it is like sending out a fucking energetic bomb that clears. So last night I did a session for clearing past life persecution trauma, and we went really deep into the voice area. So like people using a voice, also the womb area of children getting taken away. And I know there's a big theme in the wild world at the moment. And I'm not saying that I mean, there's a lot of people out here doing this. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily going to make a big impact in that, but if you can change something at an energetic level, it will start reflecting out in reality. I don't know how long that's going to take, and I don't know how much of an impact, like I said, our little corner's making, but I do know for damn sure that the more spiritually connected people that come together at one time. I've got so many psychics and healers because I basically train psychics and healers. I help them build businesses, all of that. These are mainly the people that I attract, the people that already have a strong connection, or people that are supposed to be doing that work. So we come together and we're clearing all of their lives, all of their families' lives, all of that. Imagine what an impact that can make. It's like, I keep getting the image in my mind's eye of like a picture of a globe and a little glowing dot on it, and my little dot just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's what I'm like, it's a really amazing way for people to come together and make a difference. And I'm so excited. Like I said, I've wanted to do this for ages, some sort of monthly group thing. I've done it sporadically where I've done like a month at a time. But because I've had to run my business well, I've always had to charge properly for it. Now my business is at a stage where I'm able to devote a bit more time, do you know what I mean, into doing other things. You can start building this up and see how far it goes. Like I said to you before we came on the recording, the purple realm, as in the astral realm that it's in, I don't think that I've been given the full picture of what it's going to turn into, or the capabilities, capacities of it. It feels very big, and as with what usually happens with my guides, when something feels very big, I know I'm not seeing the full picture because it would overwhelm me, probably burn me out, probably things I'm not ready for. But yeah, I'm like, light workers assemble, mate.
Yeah, and are they the ones that you said that they said talk about them? Are they?
Yeah, so they. Oh yeah. Yes. Okay. So there is a group of beings called the She, spelt SIDHE. They only came into my awareness last month. An amazing new friend in LA, who's now a dragon brother. He gave me a book of channeled conversations with the She or something. And he said, it's really powerful. They're a really powerful group of beings. He's also psychic. He got told to give it to me. My whole body is starting to vibrate as I'm talking about them. This book I got when I was unwell, and it stayed on my table, and every time I went to pick it up, I got a no. Like my higher self was just like, no. I was like, I really want to read it. Now, I know how powerful channeled books are, and I know you should treat them with respect and use them like a healing session. I tried to cheat and read some, and like the words literally just didn't go in. It was like they're moving around the page. I had this book there for about 4 days, and then I did my first ever session in the Purple Realm last month. And we did some dragon activations, and before the session, I went to the toilet like I always do, and I had these big, tall, blue female beings, like literally like a row of them, and just got the term spiritual warriors, we're ready, and started feeling really emotional. And Kengar, my Arcturian guide, was in the middle. During the session, I did all my dragon activations and everything, and then Kengar came through with all these women, and they surrounded us like vroom, like it's like they came down the front, almost like they're coming on stage, and surrounded us, and they were around myself and everyone that was doing the session. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying
cold. Oh my god! Yeah.
So this is the session recording is still, so anyone who wants to access this, just go into the Purple Realm. The recordings are no less powerful. A couple of people have actually done the recordings more than once and said that they get more powerful each time because you're more open to receiving. But yeah, I know it's making me feel weird as well. So they're standing around us now. If I close my eyes, I can see them all smiling. Do you mind if I bring through a channeled message from them? They are.
No, I don't mind.
they're just there. It makes me laugh when they come through. Okay, yeah. Thank you. So this is just a very short message from the She. We are here to help humanity rise at this time. You are at a pinnacle point in humanity, and the scales have finally tipped in balance towards what many of you call the light side. Although in truth there is no light and dark, there is only separation and those that need to come back into wholeness. but we are from the side that is working towards bringing separation back into wholeness. We have always been here. However, the separation on earth has been in such a way that it has been hard for us to connect with your frequencies, and many of our race did not want to interfere, but we are now getting to a time on earth where many of us are stepping forward and choosing to assemble to help humans once more, and help those of you that are ready to rise into your power and sovereignty to help this world raise in its vibrations, therefore sending out an echo further into the universe and helping many other planets. We would like to remind you of a message that our Arcturian brothers brought through this channel a few years ago about the purpose of awakening at this time on Earth. If you imagine a plant growing out of beautiful, clean soil, and one of the leaves contracts a virus, it is not long before this virus spreads to other part of the plants, killing the other leaves. If you imagine that the earth at this time is the leaf that has the virus in, the virus being separation of all beings. And if you imagine that in time, if this left is unchecked, this will travel vibrationally to other planets and other star systems. This is the reason that there are so many other planets and star systems. Those of us that have already achieved ascension on a high level, or those of us who, like the she, used to be part of humanity once upon a time, a very, very, very long time ago, before the time of separation. We are all coming together now through various portals in the earth, through various of channels, so-called psychic channels that are opening and are able to bring through our vibration, our gifts, our light, and our messages to the earth. This is all we have to say at this time. We are grateful for anyone who is receiving and transmuting these energies and this message. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Oh, I'm dizzy.
Wow, that was amazing. And the goosebumps come back.
I had a sneaky, I'm well dizzy. Oh, I'm going to have some water. I had a sneaky suspicion because normally before podcasts, my guides come through, just to kind of hold the space. And they're normally ones that I recognize. When I went and sat on the toilet, like all these tall beings came in and they're like, we're here. And they said, talk about us. And I'm thinking, are you guys just going to come willy-nilly onto the podcast? I guess they did. So
yeah, they had something they wanted to share. And how funny that, it's hot here. I think it might still be 40 degrees. And I have just gone freezing. And all of those, I know I put my arm up, the podcast can't see the arm, but the goosebumps that I just had, and now they've gone. That was a total...
Everyone listening to this, I hope you felt the message. I'll look forward to hearing that on the podcast, because I can't hear what they're saying when they bring it through. In order for me to channel properly,
you don't know what they say.
I can kind of hear it as it's coming through, but I can't process or understand it. So, which was something that I had to learn in my own journey and what I teach other people, to be a clear channel and let something talk through you. The quickest way to close your channel is to try and listen to, dissect, make sense of, or judge what is coming out of your mouth. You just have to let it roll. Like I step back, it's like in my head I move my energy back so that they can come through the front, and I know when they're done. If you watch any of my channeled things, usually in sessions, if I'm doing a really long channeling, especially something, I might hear something that I try and listen to, or I might start to get a bit tired or something, and I accidentally stop the channel, and I have to have a little giggle and compose myself, have some water, and then let them back through. So
start again. Amazing. Now I will put all of your information in the show notes. And that's it today, everybody. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you again next week. Don't forget, 5 stars, download, tell your friends. You're amazing.